Hi everyone, for our 8th grade Elevate group, today we will be dividing fractions by fractions. Now, many of you may be familiar with the keep, change method where you are multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction. However, students are also going to have to know how to utilize models. So in this video, I'm not going to spend too much time going over how to multiply by the reciprocal because I know that you all are very familiar with that method right here. So if we're doing 3/4 divided by 3/8, essentially we would keep the 3/4, change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and then flip 3/8 into 8/3. From there, instead of working with the division equation, now we are working with a multiplication sentence. So we know when we're multiplying fractions, we just multiply across. 3 times 8 gives me 24. And then 4 times 3 gives me 12. And then, of course, in previous lessons, we've learned how to simplify. So 24 divided by 12 is just 2. While students will be asked to solve a bulk of questions through the procedural way, multiplying by the reciprocal, they also have to understand how to utilize models. So in this same example, students are going to be working with fraction strips. So here is our fraction strip. And it says we are going to use fraction strips to first show 3/4. We want to identify that unit fraction, right? So the unit for 3/4 is fourths. So we are going to show 3/4. Okay. Then use 1/8 fraction strips underneath. So what we really want to do is we want to figure out the size of these eights. So we want to ask ourselves, 1/4 is equivalent to how many eights? Well, I know that 4 times 8, I know that 4 times 2 gives me 8. And so 1 times 2 gives me 2/8. So 2/8 is the same as a fourth. So you'll see directly under this fourth, I have 2/8. There's one of them, and there's the other one. Okay, so under each of these fourths, I have a total of 2/8. And then this is the third fourth with a total of 2/8 underneath. Okay, so then from there, I need to now separate the 1/8 model into groups of 3/8, right? Because I'm dividing. It tells me to divide by 3/8. So now I'm figuring out how many groups of 3/8 can I find. Well, I'm going to count. There's 1/8, there's 2/8, there's the third 8. This is one group of 3, and here is the other group of 3. In total, I have 2 groups of 3/8, so my answer is 2. As you can see, it's the same answer that we got when we multiplied by our reciprocal. Okay, so from there, you are going to do the same thing and model for students how to solve this question. So we have divide 4/6 divided by 2/3. I'll go ahead and show you this again. So 4/6, our unit is sixths. So we want to go ahead and break this model up into sixths and showing 4 of them. So there's 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, and then this is the fourth 1/6, right? Then we want to ask ourselves, how many sixths is equivalent to a third? Well, we know that 2/6 is the same as a third, right? 2/6 is the same as 1/3. So that means that under 2 of my 6, I'm going to go ahead and put 1/3. Same thing here. Under 2 of my 6, I'm going to put 1/3. Now I need to divide by 2/3. So I need to figure out how many groups of 2/3 do I have. Well, here I have one group. Here I have 1/3 plus 1/3 gives me 2/3. I only have one group of 2/3. So I divided by 2. So my answer is 1. Okay, you're also going to show them in letter B how to multiply by the reciprocal, and then launch them into working for about 12 minutes with a partner on the following questions on these next 2 pages. Please tell them to skip questions 4, 6, and 8 because those are the questions that you're going to use to gauge whether they understood the content or not. And then I chose these 3 questions because the first one requires them to utilize a fraction strip. The second one is just them focusing on the procedural method. And then the last question is that real world application. So we want to see, do they know how to use the model for the first question? Did they get the right answer? For the second question, did they show their work? And then did they get the right answer? And then for the last question, did they show their work and did they get the right answer? So it's out of 6 points. And so here's your scale. A 1 out of 6 is an F, sorry. And then a 0 out of 6 is also an F.